This is John from Dambest Racing Carburetor. We're going to give a little history today on our 4150 series. The one we're going to show first is the largest of this model. It is a 2 1/4 4150. Yes, it appears to be a Dominator from the top because of the Senator centers on the Venturis. We use a Dominator air cleaner on it. The original 4150s look very similar to what we show here, except the sides were much squarer. You'll see that in the beginning we used either the Braswell flow bowl or quick flow fuel flow bowls on our billet carbs, and at that time we didn't even make the metering blocks. So like I said, this is going to be a walk through the history. We had developed a skirted insert. It's not really annular. It's based off of a straight wall insert that we had in some of our 4150s, and then being that we make all the parts, we added the skirt to it, and that was a very good beginning to our 4150s. You'll see that most people are still stuck in a very old down leg technology. We've never used that. So anytime you see a down leg booster in your carb, ensure the technology is at least 50 years old, probably closer to 70 years old. This is a polished main body. We have a tumbler, and in the beginning we weren't making the numbers that made sense to go over and get them anodized. So a lot of the customers chose to get the polished float bowls and a polished main body, and this is how they looked in the beginning. That's also 4150. This whole video is going to be showing the 4150 series. In fact, with this particular one, it's got a 1-inch radius going into the repositioned Venturis. We have a patent on putting the Venturi above the booster. That makes sure that all the air must go over the booster and not around it. And that you'll see that a lot of the main bodies today, they try to isolate the air closer to the booster, even though they're using the down leg. They're following our leads, of course. Linkage we use is a fairly standard linkage until we get into Ultimate Series carbs, which we'll show after a bit. This one here may be clear anodized. I'm just looking at it. You'll see that we're still using at this time the cast quick fuel. Now we're introducing our float bowls. Our float bowls have a cap. You'll see on this particular one the float bowl is CNC'd and the caps are in black, and that's inside of that is a 360-degree channel, so no matter which direction the needle and seat is turned, it will always get fuel. Conventional float bowl, if you turn the needle and seat, at some point you're blocking the window, the fuel flow window off. So there was about a 10% increase in fuel delivery immediately with the cap style needle and seat. And the earlier ones, you can see this is an earlier one, because the windows were screw-in. We used the Dominator side windows in their earlier ones. Now this particular one is our smallest Venturi one, and we used the original ones with a crossbar, not the down leg, but the crossbar, and they were all CNC'd. So we went to the trouble, because at that point we didn't have a small enough booster. We have a inverted shear stainless steel booster you'll see in the later small ones that we use today. And here is another carb with the skirted annular, skirted, that's not annular, the skirted insert. We have two different diameter skirts, depending on what the compromise between the butterfly and the signal. Sometimes we want to add little signals, so we'll do that. This is a picture we put in so you could see the stainless steel inverted shear booster. So all of our boosters are now made in-house. And by using stainless steel, we could use tubing. We could Still maintain the same inside diameter in the stem, but reduce the outside diameter. I think the outside diameter in this one's 188. That's the outside diameter of the stem. This particular carburetor shows the most current flow poles. We use the snap ring sight glass in our flow poles. So the progression, the metering blocks in this are made in house. I can tell by the logo on the side. These are in-house manufactured metering blocks. Now, you probably have to pause it to see this particular one. These are the newest in-house metering blocks. I can tell because of the hex on the curb idle adjuster. Now we had to change the size of the curb idle because of the different fuels and some of the engines. Now on methanol could be making over 1,000, but it's not uncommon for a single 4-barrel to be making over 1,000, needing more idle fuel. And this one has the same hex on the metering blocks. And the metering blocks are made so that they'll span all of the different ranges. So we've upgraded the curb idle. You know, if it's a needle and seat, if you need less fuel, you close it. You need more fuel, you open it. It's not a complicated tuning thing. And the same thing here, you'll see it has the hex on the metering block. So anyone's got the hex, it's got the newer V blocks, we call them, because the channels between the jet and the booster have been lined up to reduce the resistance in that. And then there's a completely new shearing system, which we have a video, I believe, in YouTube on the shearing system, where we took a little tiny camera and put it down the previous metering block, main well, and then down the new V blocks, and it's amazing on the differences. You know, they make really tiny cameras, so we can stick it right down the main well and show you the difference between the previous technology and the current technology. This carburetor still shows that we're using the Holley accelerator pump linkage, which we currently don't use, and this carburetor now shows the linkages that we do. We make that in-house too. The fact that people want quicker throttle response, a lot of it has to do with the resistance in between the pump channels and the spring that's on the Holley style accelerator pump arm. So we've eliminated the spring. Now somebody can adjust the pressure and things just by changing the accelerator pump squirter in that model. This particular pair still has the it's an earlier photograph where you can see it has the cast float balls and the earlier pump arm. It's amazing. There's still quite a few of our earlier pairs, 15 plus years, that are still being used and setting records and winning races. If you check our Facebook page, you'll see the cars that are still using carbs. It's a great investment. You buy a set of carburetors and it lasts you 15 plus years, and other people are just now making enough changes. They're keeping up to our 15-year-old technology, of which we're still moving forward from the 15-year-old technology. And so there's a lot of championships won in these particular carbs, and it's amazing. We have sizes which you'll find on our website, from a 1.25" Venturi all the way up to a 1.585, and the butterfly diameter will go from 1.560 to in the standard 4150s to 1.75 inches. Soon we're going to be showing, I think these particular carburetors here actually won a world championship in comp. They were on a 6-cylinder. So you can see that we use the connecting link. This particular set of carburetors ended up in Australia. That's actually a customer in Australia. He didn't buy them direct. I'm not sure if he bought them from somebody in Australia or somebody in the United States, but they ended up winning a championship that year too. So the carburetors end up all around the world: England, Australia, anywhere there's racing. And sometimes I show the pictures because they're just colorful. We make some of the 4150 bodies that are in red, and they really are attractive even with the earlier polished float bowls. You know, and they last for decades. I mean, you know, with the billet construction and the science and things, there's really no need, if you're happy with them, to upgrade until we have enough changes. Currently, we're making a lot of aesthetic changes and small changes. Now, this pair has the billet float bowls on it. They're not anodized. Some customers will ask for the unanodized to get the contrast between the different colors. You know, it's a very attractive carburetor. This is a polished set of center sections, still with the cast float bowls, and this one in the Holly style accelerator pump arm. So these carbs are probably 10 years old, I'm guessing, in the timeline. You can see the 1-inch radius in the last ones. When they're black, a lot of this stuff is hidden. This has the most current float bowls with the lock ring windows. Doesn't quite have the newest pump arm on it yet. So you're probably looking, this carburetor 4 years old, by looking at the upgrades that are on it at that point. And like I say, when they're in black, it's very hard to get a picture that really represents how attractive they are. When we started making them black, we saw that other people are making them black. Like you can see, this has the newest metering blocks. You can see the hex has the newest sight glasses, which is one on each side with the lock rings. The boosters in it have the most current stainless steel inverted shear. Now we're into another set of carbs that'll have the skirted inside. So this is probably an inch 585 Venturi pair. You can see it has the current pump arms, no spring, and the current metering blocks. I think this particular set of carburetors ended up in Alaska, because we have a dealer in Alaska. Now we're starting the ultimate 4150s. When the rules said 4150s in trucks, we were the first to be out, and we were out for several years where we took in the footprint for the 4150. We expanded the Venturi positions and put first one we did was a 2-inch butterfly 4150, and this, like I said, this picture is a long time ago. And here's an ad that we had run in National Dragster, I believe. And it's the first 2-inch throttle bore 4150 style carburetor. Back then we had an email newsletter, and so we ran this ad, and we sold a ton of these things. Then everybody got the hint that we are thinking that we're getting rich, so they started building the 3-barrel, big bladed carbs. They all have their own problems. This has our repositioned Venturi. In the beginning, we didn't have the airfoil booster at that time. We only had the skirted boosters, but we had 2 different styles, diameters based on the amount of power the engine was going to make. So we could either use any one of our 3 inserts, which look completely different now from the top. We had the straight side, and we had like a 1-inch side and a 1-inch 100 skirt diameter. And so we sold a lot of these. We next model up was the 2100, which comfortably fit into the same center to center. We're going to show some base plates here shortly. And you can see this has the polished aluminum blocks, but not our new metering blocks. This has a customer wanted everything black. This is when some of the black anodizing, even though it's polished aluminum, we had them anodized black. They come out not quite black, but like a dark gray. It was a very attractive carburetor. But some customers want something special, so we can do that. It's a custom house. We can make custom stuff. And so this is probably a 2100 with the 1-inch 100 skirt in it. And these things were killer in the truck pull market. I mean, just killer. And the original one we opened up, which we'll show again, we had to change everything to center and stuff, but on a 4150 footprint, we got up to a point, I mean, it was just jam-packed full to a 2 1/4 butterfly, and that's it. I mean, at that point, we had to have the base plate screws go all the way through the main housing to hold a hat on, because there was just no room left to put anything. And we extended the centers until there was barely any room to put the idle transfer slot into the base plate. We'll show that in a moment. But the big thing is to be ahead. The shop's a leader. We're not a follower. People are still using the downlink boosters. You'd be sure they're followers. I mean, they're not even followers. They're just trying to make a model of the Model T, as we said. We're a Ferrari here, you know, leading the pack. Not interested in following. And this particular, you can look at the side, how profile it is on the Ultimate 4150s, and some of them we started making weight savings on the side. These float bowls are still the earlier ones with the screwed-in glass. It has the 4150 linkage on it, so that's how I can tell it's a 4150. The double bend for the stop, the idle stop in the primary, and then it has a spring return on the secondary. So sometimes the side view I can tell. What years? All the carburetors are serial numbers. I can tell their birth date. It doesn't. If you just give me a number, I can't tell you anything. You have to have the size and the venturi diameter. That leads me to a folder. Then I look at the birth date, which is the serial number, and I can pull out the build sheet. Now, this particular customer probably wanted the float bowls uncolored. And one thing about having everything made in-house is whatever we come up with, if somebody wanted a completely new carburetor made, it's not a problem. This is the 4150 linkage that we use. We made a few extra adjustments for the progression. Now, this particular base plate we wanted to show from the bottom is the 2100 4150. In a minute, you'll see the 250. We couldn't put the centers any closer. Yeah, that's as much thing. So to go to the 250, we had to move them out more in order to get it. Excuse me. You know, to fit in the 4150 base plate, you can't make them any tighter, so you have to extend the center and center. Now, this is a 2 1/4 butterfly. If you can see, it has a much similar to a Dominator kind of look, and those are the airfoil boosters that we use in the Dominator car. So now this is a really current technology. It's the absolute most you can get in the 4150. 2 1/4 butterflies, airfoil booster. It's a beauty, and it's the most powerful 4150. Now, as you can look at the base plate in this, the 2 1/4, you can see there's very little distance on the outside to put the idle transfer slot in that material, because that's what has to come down through the mirroring block and have someplace to go. You can't make them any closer. So the distance between the butterflies is the same as the 2100, but everything had to get moved out for the 2250. And here's a side view on the 2250. I think this customer wanted this one in clear aluminum. They call it silver, but it's a clear coat anodizing process. And we may make just a few. It's a limited production carb, because if you're going to go to a 2 1/4, usually you jump up to a Dominator when the rules allow. And there is occasions when people run a pair. Believe it or not, they run a pair of 2-inch on a 6 cylinders in comp, eliminator in drag racing, and or 1 and 7/8 butterfly pair on these 6 cylinders that make about 715, 720 horsepower. And this is showing it. This particular one was a customer. This engine did set the records and win the championship that year. And that's a pair of Ultimate 4150s. If my memory serves me correctly, they're 1 and 7/8 butterfly in these, because we didn't have the airfoil booster at that time. The airfoil booster is a much better fuel distribution. When we use that, we can upgrade to carb. Here is our information. If you choose to ask questions or contact us at info1@dambest.com. I truly hope you have a great day. If you have any interest in videos, please let me know. Have a great day.